Hi there, my name is Arthur from the Idea Lab. Welcome to the channel. So what is happening on this channel is that I take random Zimbabwe business ideas and disassemble them to understand their money-making mechanisms. So to all you business buffs and entrepreneurs up there, hopefully this process gives you a leg up as you look into your next venture in Zimbabwe. So today I'm looking at a business that makes between $500 and $1,000 a month collecting rentals. This business is a service and hospitality business, which is basically a business where you offer secure, safe, and affordable accommodation to university students in exchange of monthly rentals. So these rentals range between $55 all the way up to about $190 per student. So Zimbabwe has got a lingering huge university accommodation deficit. There are about 100,000 students in Zimbabwe today, and of those, only 15% have got access to on-campus accommodation that is offered by the universities themselves. There are 10 universities in Zimbabwe that are state-run, and this is excluding the private universities, which are about 4 or 5 of them. And if you add those, the number goes well beyond 100,000. So there's a huge opportunities for entrepreneurs who are interested in getting into the boarding house business. There's been some work done by universities themselves to try and accommodate more students on campus. For example, the University of Science and Technology in Bulawayo, NUST, recently opened a residence block which takes about 1,000 students. And at the Chinoy University of Technology, there's another recent block opened for 368 students, male and female. So despite all these efforts, these new facilities, they're just a drop in the ocean compared to the demand that is on the ground. So this is how the business model works. Buy, build, or rent a house near a thriving university or college, or near a university that is just starting up but promising to be thriving. Offer residential accommodation fitted with basic amenities suitable for students. Collect monthly fees and make a profit. Strategically add more houses as the business permits. Okay, so now let's consider the market. How big is this market? We know that the market is there because there are boarding houses that are running, that are fully occupied most of the time. We also know that there's more investment coming into this sector, which is obviously means that there's something going on there. But we want to work with some numbers, so I think there's a way for us to get an estimate of this industry or of this market. So the way to do that is that we're going to use the 100,000 that we know are the number of students that are in state universities. Of course, if we add the private universities, this number will just go beyond that. But just to be conservative, we're going to be using 100,000. So I'm going to also to assume that the student is paying $55 per month to be in these boarding houses, and also that between 8 and 9 months is the amount of time they will spend in the boarding house. However, this can be 8-9, but I'm going to be using 9 months. Okay, so we have got 100,000, we've got $55, and we have got 9 months. So we need to multiply these numbers for us to determine the total addressable market. This will come out to $50 million dollars worth of market. However, this is not the case actually, because as we noted earlier, 15% of those you've got accommodation offered by the universities themselves. So that leaves 85%. It's not all the 85,000 that are going to be needing paid for accommodation or rented accommodation, only a certain percentage. And I would like to work with about 70%, leaving 30% those that have got other means of accommodation. Maybe they're living with parents or with relatives close to universities, so they won't need to pay for any accommodation. So we have got 70% of the 85% who actually need to pay for accommodation, and that number is 59,000. So of the 100,000, 59,000 of them will need to be in private paid accommodation, which is offered by this business sector. Okay, so we take that number again, 59,000 times 55, which we assume is the average that is being paid per person per month, times the 9 months, and that is going to bring us to about $29 million, which I'll then just round off to 30 million just to work with a rounded up number. So we are faced with a market of $30 million for boarding houses. So again, this is a number, this is a national number, which just gives us an idea of the market at a national level. But of course, it may not give you a good indicator if you're focused on a particular location in the country, but it gives us an idea to understand really how much is at stake nationwide in as far as the market itself is concerned. So as shown by these numbers, this is quite an interesting market, $30 million on the table each and every year for private accommodation. If you want to break it down to monthly, that's about $3.2 million that is available for grabs for businesses that are in this industry. Again, this is nationwide. Things that can be different on a local level, depending on how many, what university you are addressing, how many students are at that university, and things like that. But the national cake, if you're talking about the national cake, $30 million per year and $3.2 million per month. So now let's consider the setup requirements for this business. You certainly need a suitable house. You also need stable utilities, and this refers to water, electricity, internet, which basically amount to variable costs. You also need furniture and appliances such as stoves, fridges, geysers, and internet hardware, microwave, and some things like that. You also need a cleaner, which some would call a janitor. You may also need an admin to run the business. So there's no specific industry regulation at present in this industry. People just do what they need to do from a business perspective. I don't expect any strict regulation soon because of the deficit that we've talked about in this industry. So whatever happens, I think it may be favorable to the business owners. But at this point in time, there's no regulation in this industry. Now, let's look at the business cost. The biggest cost will be the house itself. You are looking at about $15,000 to $60,000. Of course, just going by this price range, you're talking about houses that are in high-density suburbs, in locations that are close to the universities. Here, I'm not talking about, for example, houses in Mount Pleasant, Harare, around University of Zimbabwe. This will be obviously higher priced houses, and frankly, it won't make business sense for this business. It will take very long to recover that amount unless you already own the house in these areas, or you have got space to build something for students according to the council code. Then it makes sense. But from as far as this video is concerned, I'm mostly talking about cheaper houses, $15,000 to $60,000. Even then, I think the sweet spot is about $20,000 to $45,000. This is because you have got a shorter time for return on investment. You want it to be between 4.5 years to 5 years, or even less where possible. So really, that's where much of the investment will go into getting the house. But again, if you have got if you are renting and your numbers make sense, or if you've got a JV, a joint venture with someone who owns the house, and you give them a cut, that's another way to get into the field, into this niche. But basically, I'm just thinking about in these numbers here, I have in mind buying a house or building one within that amount, $15K to $60,000. So you're also going to need, as mentioned already, furniture and appliances. These range in price, but the advice here is to get high quality products which last longer, because when you're dealing with students, you've got many people, handling these appliances and furniture. So if you buy cheap things, they're going to break sooner, and then you have to buy again. In the end, it just becomes too expensive to furnish the house and to maintain some of this equipment. So you also need utilities, water. This has to be stable. You need solar, for example, as power backup. Zimbabwe has got a major power deficit at the moment, so you definitely need solar to make your offering attractive. You also need internet, and you're talking about between $200 and $350 for internet hardware. And I have in mind here Starlink for a reason, because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's unlimited, and you can accommodate the number of students that are in a house of this size, which is about 7 rooms and 14 students. Then you've got the wages as well, $80 per month. I've put the wage $80 per month for the cleaner, the person who will look after the property, cleaning for the students, cleaning the rooms, the bathrooms, the kitchen, and they are paid roughly about $20 a week, which rounds up to $80 a week. So it depends. This is consistent with a boarding house of only 14 people. But if it's bigger, maybe you need 2 people, maybe you need to pay them more so that they come more frequently. But this for a boarding house of 14 people only. Once the boarding house is launched, word goes out through social media, essentially. So you're going to use Facebook, you're going to use WhatsApp groups, you're going to use flyers, campus and off-campus flyers. You're going to use word of mouth through point persons at university campuses. So this is very effective. And in most cases, this will only need to be done in the initial stages of the business, where you are just new on the market and you're trying to get known. Because at only a capacity of 14, a good word of mouth will just go around. You are likely just to be continuously 100%, to enjoy 100% occupancy through word of mouth. In fact, students will actually start coming to you, given that you have all the success elements that we're going to talk about next. So the location is an important ingredient for success in this business. Amenities are critical. You need to have the water, you need to have the electricity, the solar backup. Even in the rooms, you need to have cupboards for storage. You need to have PowerPoints in the rooms. For example, if students are sharing, if you've got 2 students, you need to make sure that each student have their own PowerPoint so that they don't struggle to get to hook up a line onto the mains in the bedrooms. So you also need to have a good name. It's essential. A good name does the marketing for you. As I mentioned earlier, you won't need to continue promoting the boarding house in any way, because the word of mouth will just promote you. In fact, some of the students will remain with you for their entire stay at that university, depending on your location, depending on your fees and things like that. But these are important success ingredients. You also need to keep just the right amount of students. That's why we are working with 14 in this video. This is because this is just about the right number of students, a little less or a little more, but 14 is okay. The students won't feel crowded, because students tend to despise crowded, boarding houses. When I was doing research for this particular business, that was one of the things that I found out from the students. They just don't want crowded boarding houses or facilities. This is because, apart from just the nuisance of being too many in one place, also it will cause a lot of noise. It will cause a lot of opportunities for theft. So the fewer they are, the happier they are. And finally, you also need to have other things in place, such as security, ambience of the building, and the building quality itself. Talking about security, the students will be interested to know how secure the doors are, so that no one comes and breaks in whilst they're at school. They would want to know if the windows have got burglar bars, so that there are no break-ins and they lose their property. So these are very important things, to make sure. And to make sure that you include, as you plan for this business, as success ingredients. And to the business risks and problems. Competition, of course, competition is there. And this is localized competition. We've got a $30 million national market, but it doesn't mean that you're going to escape competition at the local level. And this competition can be brutal, can even cause the business to close. And one of the reasons is location. So you just have to have a location that is in close proximity to the university or to the college. This is because students want to be where they can access easily and quickly and cheaply access campus for their studies, for the libraries, for example, if one decides to stay late at night so that they can walk back, things like that. So location will always be a factor in this business. You also need to look out for university changes. Universities are building satellite campuses, so it's an opportunity for those around that new campus to offer accommodation. But again, it depends if that satellite campus will be successful. If it's not and the university changes its mind, then it's closed. It means something else for the business as well. So it's something to watch and to understand what is going on with the university, what the university thinks about its future. You just have to have your fingers on the pulse so that things don't just come up against you without you having had foresight. And another problem in this business is property damage, and it gets even worse the more you have. The greater the number of students that you accommodate, the lesser the better. But again, it's a sweet spot of balancing the revenues and the profit versus your costs. So property damage happens a lot. In fact, it's a headache for many boarding house owners. But there's a solution. I spoke to a boarding house owner with the same problem, so they decided to introduce a security deposit of up to about 40% of the fees. And they told me that this just drastically dropped the amount of damage they had been suffering from students. So that's another solution, to introduce a security deposit. Obviously, it may make, in the initial stages, it may make your boarding house or your business less attractive because the student has to part with an extra amount that you'll be holding, but it saves your property, and you just have to be honest and professional enough to hand it back in a fair manner if nothing has been broken by the student, and then you develop a reputation that you just pay back the security deposit. But it's a very effective method of limiting damage to property. Okay, so now let's do the numbers for this business. A few assumptions to begin with, as usual. We're going to assume that each student is going to be paying $100 per month. When I looked at this business, people are paying between $55 and upwards of $190, $195 per month per person. So $100 is a good sweet spot. When I did the other numbers, I deliberately took the lower number of 55 because we wanted to be conservative on the market, which we determined to be 30 million. But for this particular calculation, I'll up it to about $100. I think $100 is a fair amount for good, decent accommodation that I've seen in the market. And again, another thing to note is that these numbers change based on what the accommodation is catering for. It looks like the colleges, the technical colleges, the boarding houses around there, they charge a little bit less, but also location matters. So $100 is a good number. So we'll stick with that number of $100. So we're going to assume also that you'll be operating at full occupancy for the 9 months that you'll be in business per year. And I think that this is possible. I've seen that most of the boarding houses, they've got a very good occupancy during the time when the students are at the university. We're also going to assume that your boarding house has got a capacity of 14 students, which is basically 7 rooms with 2 rooms per student. This is the best, configuration, in my opinion, because 2 students in a room, they are not crowded. They've got ample room that they need, compared to having less rooms and putting 3 students, for example, in the room. So 7 rooms with 2 students per room sharing, will keep that assumption. And utilities, we're going to assume that water is going for $50 per month that you need for the 14 people. So you could have a borehole where you fill your own water into storage. That could maybe remove that $50 or even reduce it. So the $50 is about council water. And electricity, I'm going to put it at $60 per month. Again, if you've got solar, this is going to drop. And Wi-Fi is going to be $50 per month. This is unlimited internet on Starlink. Again, you can drop this by going for the lower package for $30. From a technical perspective, for 14 people, that package should be good for $30 per month. However, I'll leave it at $50 so that you just have the best internet speeds. So you've got a cleaner for $80 a month. This is a person who comes once a week, $20 a week to clean the boarding house. And we are going to put an admin expense of $50 for any administrative issues that may arise. For example, any printing, any phone calls and things like that. But I doubt that you would need to spend this much per month, even on admin issues only. So these are the numbers. Altogether, this expense on utilities is going to be $160. So let's look at the monthly revenue. So the 7 rooms with 2 students, which is 14 students, is going to be 14 times $100, which gives you $1,400 in revenue. So that's the amount you're going to collect every month with 100% occupancy. So your gross profit there is going to be the $1,400 minus $290, which is your operating expenses, which brings together the utilities, the cleaner, and admin costs. So if you remove the $290 from the $1,400, you're going to have $1,110 per month as your gross profit. I'm calling it gross profit because it excludes the taxes that may be involved for the house, council taxes, and any loan repayments. For example, if you've got a loan, you got a loan advanced for you to be able to buy the house or to build the house. So what does this mean for the yearly revenue? So we're going to take the $1,400 times 9 months of business operations, which is going to be $12,600 of revenue per year. And this year is 9 months long, and you're going to have $290 operating expenses per month times 9 months, which is going to give you $2,610. Again, these are expenses for the 9 months of operation. So now we have got the yearly revenue and you've got the yearly operating expenses. So the gross profit will be $12,600 minus $2,610, which gives you $9,990 as gross profit. So you can round it up to just call it $10,000 to make it easy. But again, this amount is just gross profit, doesn't include any taxes or any loan repayments that may be involved in the capital expenditure, which was the building itself or the appliances, the buying of the appliances. So that's gross profit, which is quite healthy. And I think it's a gross profit margin of about 79%, which is very, very healthy. So if you are to pay back a house that you purchased for $45,000 for this business, it will take you about four and a half years, which is 4.5 years to 5 years, paying off the loan or paying off the house with the profits of $10,000, gross profit of $10,000 per year. So tell me what you think about this business. I'll be happy to see your comments and your thoughts. Did I leave anything else? Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.